All right, guys. What is going on? We have a crazy NBA slate to go over tonight. A ton of news. Obviously, you guys saw that big blockbuster trade, which we'll have to go over, but changes a lot of things for tonight. I had to scramble, update some stuff for myself for Patreon members, but yeah, it's gonna be a hectic slate. There's a lot of value now. Definitely setting up for more of that stars and scrubs build. But if you guys are new to the channel, new to the live stream, how this works is we'll take a look at what we know so far. We'll go over all the news. We can take a look at the Vegas odds, and then we can go team by team here and get to questions at the end. What's going on, guys? All right, so we have Anthony Davis questionable, LeBron James expected to play, Cat is expected to play. The Hawks-Suns game got postponed, and Kevin Durant is good to go. Horford is out, makes probably Roby and Muscala a little more viable tonight. John Wall's out for Thursday. And then, let's see, again, AD is still questionable. Zion got ruled out. The Pelicans are going to be pretty thin. And then you guys saw, again, the big blockbuster trade. Nets get James Harden. Rockets get LeVert, but then they trade LeVert to the Pacers. LeVert, Jarrett Allen, Taurean Prince got traded to the Cavs, so they are not available to play tonight, obviously. So, the Nets are really thin tonight. Available players, I think they have 9 healthy bodies: Durant, Joe Harris, Bruce Brown, Shamet, DeAndre Jordan, Jeff Green, Shoza, TLC, and Reggie Perry. Let's see. We got the Hornets starting lineup. Nothing big there. Porzingis will start. I don't think he's going to play a ton, though. Lineup note. Coach Tibbs said if there's an opportunity to play Obi Toppin Wednesday, he will, but he isn't rushing it. Sounds like Toppin may not be available, but might not play. I am so excited for that Pacers starting lineup with LeVert, Brogdon, Sabonis. You guys don't even know. Like, LeVert and Sabonis on the same team. Whew. That is going to be... Yeah, Jarrett Allen to the Cavs. I didn't get that at all. It's like, add another center to the Cavs. Oh, you have like 6 centers. Just add another, like, a mobile center to the list with, like, Andre Drummond, JaVale McGee, Jarrett Allen, washed Kevin Love. Like, I have no idea what the Cavs were doing, but... all right, let's take a look at these Vegas odds here. And, all right, Mavs and Hornets is the 220.5 over under. The Mavs are only 3.5-point favorites in this one. Bucks and Pistons, the 226.5 over under. The Bucks are 10.5-point favorites. We have Nets, Knicks, a 217 over under. The Nets are still 4-point favorites in this one. Lakers and Thunder, it's a 218.5 over under. The Lakers are 8-point favorites. Grizzlies, Timberwolves, a 223 over under. The T-Wolves are 1.5-point favorites. Pelicans, Clippers, again, Pelicans are now pretty short-handed tonight. Clippers are favored by 8.5 points, 216 over under. Portland and Sacramento, 237.5 over under. The Trailblazers, 3.5-point favorites. And that is what we got so far. So, we got a lot to go over. Guys, I will ask if you enjoy this content to hit that like button. Let's aim for 100 likes on this live stream if we can. We're already at 250 viewers, so thank you guys again. But let's start with Dallas and Charlotte. So Dallas is a couple pieces I'm interested in. Luka Doncic at the top of 10.8K. With all the value now opening up, I think he's a really good spend up if you can get to him, right? 10.8 is not that pricey for this type of matchup. Porzingis being back doesn't really affect him too much, right? Yeah, it's a higher usage guy in the offense, but Porzingis is not going to play a ton. So I still really like Luka tonight. I think he goes, I don't know if he's going to be super popular, but yeah, Luka at the top is one of the best plays in the slate in my opinion. Hardaway and Barker stay away at their prices. Again, I'm not going to Porzingis in his first game back. And with all these guys out like J. Rich, DFS, Kleber, James Johnson could definitely see some minutes at 3-9. I'm interested to see what Dallas does for the starting lineup. If he starts, I think he would be an interesting value play. Cauley-Stein, Boban will probably be in the rotation if you want to take a shot on him. Like if Boban plays 15 to 20 minutes, he could break the slate. But again, we do have a lot of other value in the slate. So really, again, we're waiting on that Dallas starting lineup, but they are kind of thin. It's Luka for me at the top and possibly a couple value plays there. If we move on to Charlotte, Charlotte's a team I have no interest in tonight. It's just the mid-range doesn't make a ton of sense, really. So I'm not getting to anyone. If I'm going to take a shot on someone, it would be LaMelo Ball and GPPs, but it just doesn't make sense to play anyone in Charlotte, in my opinion, on this slate. It just doesn't make sense, right? I told you guys last slate that it was the Miami value in JaVale McGee, and that was it, right? I just wanted to go stars and scrubs. Kind of shape it up for that in this slate as well, with all the value now opening up. So the mid-range guys, there's a few mid-range guys I do like, which we'll get to. But let's move on to Milwaukee, Detroit. So obviously some blowout risk in this one. Giannis at the top. Same thing I'll say about Luka. Love the spot for him. A little bit more blowout risk in this one. But Giannis has a lot of upside. I think he goes very under-owned once again tonight. Middleton, Drew are stairways. Bobby Portis is priced about right, not a priority for me on the slate, and that's it for Milwaukee. On the Detroit side, I have no interest in Detroit. That's basically it. Like, D-Rose is downgraded to questionable. If he's out, makes DeLon Wright a little bit more viable, but you got to ask yourself, are you going to play DeLon Wright in this slate at 5K? I think there's better value. So just this game, besides Giannis, is not a ton of like if you play Giannis, maybe you can run it back like Jeremy Grant or D-Rose if he plays, but I just don't know if we have to do that. I don't think we have to. Now Brooklyn. So this is the big team to talk about here. You're going to want some Brooklyn exposure. Now, this is not the same situation as Miami last night, where I was telling you guys to load up on the Heat. Right? The Nets are shorthanded, but there's also other teams shorthanded on the slate, and possibly some value if like Nurkic is out, right? If Eric Bledsoe's out, the Pelicans are going to be really thin. So I don't necessarily think you have to go all in and play 5 Nets like I did with 5 Heat last night, but I definitely think you want exposure. So no Kyrie, no LeVert, no Jared Allen, no Taurean Prince. They have 9 healthy bodies. Hard to get away from Kevin Durant, right? With them being so shorthanded in this good matchup too, I have a hard time fading him, even on a back-to-back. So I think he's one of the best plays in the slate, and that's not a contrarian take at all, obviously. Joe Harris at 5.5. So I would say Joe Harris is kind of like the Duncan Robinson of last slate, right? The minutes will be there for him. A little bit scoring dependent. He's probably a little bit better of a rebounder than Duncan Robinson, but still has a somewhat low floor. I think he is a solid play here, and if he hits his shots, he can definitely go for 40 plus. So like the upside here in Joe Harris, he should play big minutes. He'll probably have to do a little bit more, right? He'll probably have to do a little bit more attacking and not just rely on his scoring. So Joe Harris in the mid-range is someone I am looking to. And then we have the value here. So DeAndre Jordan with no Jared Allen, assuming he starts, they have like no other bigs on this roster, right? Like, sure, they have an undersized Jeff Green they can use, but they can use KD, I guess, at the center. DeAndre Jordan's probably going to have to play all the minutes he can. And this Knicks team's a big team with Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle. So it's not like they can go small here. Yeah, you guys know, I mean, he's looking like a really, really good play there at 3.4K. Now, the other value, a little bit trickier. Jeff Green, TLC, Bruce Brown, Shamet, Chioza, Perry. Like, these guys are all playable. I don't really have a super strong take here. I think what they do is they start Bruce Brown at the point guard. We'll see. I think Bruce Brown and Chioza kind of man the point guard position with no LeVert now. So if Bruce Brown starts at point guard at 3-3, I think he makes for a pretty solid value play here. And you could look to Chioza off the bench. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to start Bruce Brown at point and use Chioza as the backup point guard. Chioza is still like a decent point guard, a guy you could look to him in tournaments. But I think Bruce Brown, if he starts at point guard, would look pretty good. And we have like Jeff Green, TLC, Sham. Like, these guys are all going to have to play minutes. So I think all these guys are in play. Don't have a super strong take here. If you're going to ask me who's my favorite Brooklyn value, I don't have a super strong take in the rest of these guys, right? So I just definitely think it's KD, DeAndre Jordan that stand out here, and then dependent on the starting lineup, which we're still waiting for. But this is a team that is thin. These guys should have to play some big minutes here. So definitely think you want some Brooklyn exposure. Let's move on to the Knicks. So Knicks are a team I have very little interest in besides Julius Randle. Julius Randle, I think you could bring back if you're going pretty heavily on the net stack. I think he's the bring back. He should play big minutes. Should. The reason I say that is because when I buy into him in a fantastic matchup, in close games he plays 40 plus minutes. I buy into him, no foul trouble, only plays 30 minutes. So it's like, are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me with that? If Julius Randle, if I knew he was going to play over 40 minutes tonight, he would be one of my favorite spend ups. It's just a matter of, will those minutes go back to 40 plus, or will he stay in the low 30s? If he's only going to play 30 to 32 minutes, I have no interest in Julius Randle. It's just a matter of, does he get the minutes? Now, everyone else is just, you don't need to go here on the slate, right? Why would I play RJ Barrett at 7.1K on the slate? Why? That literally makes no sense. Why would I play any of these guys in the mid-range? Just doesn't make sense for roster construction purposes to get to any of these guys. So that's it for the Knicks. Memphis, Minnesota. This one will be really, really quick. No interest in Memphis. Let's move on to Minnesota. No interest in Minnesota. Let's move on to the Lakers. So the Lakers, LeBron James at 9.6. If Anthony Davis is in fact out, he is questionable. If AD is out, LeBron becomes a really solid spend up there at the price, right? It's definitely setting up for the stars and scrubs build, so LeBron looks really good there at the top if Anthony Davis is out. If Anthony Davis plays, I think they're both solid. Probably would prefer AD for the discount. So that's just a situation we'll have to keep an eye on. If Anthony Davis is out, then Montrezl Harrell becomes a good play in the mid-range. Also would make Markieff Morris viable punt play at 3.3K if he starts. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Like Schroeder, Kuzma will get a boost too. But really, again, if AD is out, LeBron would be the guy to look to. And then maybe like a guy like Montrezl Harrell would probably be my next piece in. Let's move on to the Thunder. So Thunder is a team I have very little interest in. Like SGA at 7-7, no Horford. Don't love the matchup for him. You can go here in tournaments. I think he's solid. I'd probably prefer De'Aaron Fox at a similar price. Bazley with no Horford probably has to do a little bit more. Again, you can go here, but he's been up and down. With Horford out, I assume Isaiah Roby starts at center. If he does start at center, I think we probably get mid-20s minutes from him. I think that would make him a viable value play here, 3.1K. I would think Muscala comes off the bench and probably plays around 20, so both those guys are viable punts. Definitely in the mix, but again, there's a ton of value on the slate. So, Thunder team, I don't have a ton of interest in, to be honest. Let's move on to the Pelicans and the Clippers. Real quick, though, let's refresh this. Let's see if we're up to date. I'll ask one more time, guys, if you enjoy the content, to hit the like button. Let's aim for 100. We are currently at 60 with 450 viewers. Again, I appreciate the support. I'm trying to go a little bit fast here. Again, we still got some time to get to questions to the end, so I want to save some time for questions. Now, Pelicans, Pelicans and the Nets are the teams you want exposure to tonight, right? Because both teams are really shorthanded. No Zion Williamson, no Lonzo Ball, possibly no Eric Bledsoe. Hard for me to get away from Brandon Ingram at 8.5. I think the argument you make to fade Brandon Ingram is you think this game blows out, which is a real possibility now. 8.5 point spread. They're really shorthanded. This could get out of hand. So that's the only argument I would make to fading Brandon Ingram. If this game stays competitive, I have a hard time seeing it's got to be because of a big game from Ingram, right? Unless he gets in like foul trouble or something. So Ingram, I think, makes for one of the better plays at the top there at 8.5K. Adams' role doesn't change a whole ton. Don't have a ton of interest in him at that price. Bledsoe, if he plays and is not limited, I think makes for a really solid play because he would probably be the number 2 in the offense if he's available. If Bledsoe is out too, then we look to the value guys like NAW, Josh Hart, JJ Redick. Probably my priority would be NAW if he starts at point guard. Good point guard guy. They're thin. He's an aggressive offensive player. He would probably be the guy I would look to first, but Josh Hart, JJ Redick also firmly in play. These guys would have to play a lot more minutes. JJ Redick is scoring dependent, but he's cheap. He's 3.3K. And if he starts, I think we'd probably get over 30 minutes from him. So literally, all these value Pelicans guys are viable here, especially if Bledsoe's out. So it's Ingram at the top. These value guys if Bledsoe's out. Bledsoe himself if he does play. And then, who fills in for Zion? I think probably Nico Melli starts. We'll see. I guess they could go a little bit smaller and go like Ingram to the 4, move Josh Hart into the starting line. We'll see. If Melli starts, he would be an okay punt play. And then I think, either Sindarius Thornwell or Lewis would probably fill in for the backup point guard. If, in fact, Bledsoe's out, I would assume NAW starts and then one of those guys fills in for the backup role. But that would be just a very contrarian punt in GPPs. So that's it for the Pelicans. Let's move on to the Clippers. Clippers, Kawhi and Paul George are definitely viable. They don't stand out as amazing plays. But, again, Pelicans shorthanded. They should be able to both have good games. They seem priced about right, but both have upside. Zubac is questionable if he's out. Serge Ibaka probably gets a slight boost, but at that price, don't know if it makes a ton of sense to get to him. The mid-range guys are kind of stay away from me with all the value opening up in the slate. Marcus Morris was originally a guy I was somewhat interested in because there wasn't a ton of value. Now with all this value opening up, hard for me to prioritize Marcus Morris. Maybe more of a late slate play, but he did play 25 minutes at last game. I expect similar minutes for him. So probably someone I would look to maybe in the late slate. All right, last game here, Portland, Sacramento, and this game looks really appealing, and I think it might go a little bit under-owned tonight with all this news opening up, right? I think this game goes a little bit overlooked, but this is still my favorite game to target, by far. Lillard at 9.5, I think looks like a good spend-up. I think he goes under-owned. Love the matchup for him. Also love CJ in this spot. I really like both Portland guards here in an up-tempo game. Almost a 240 over-under. We know the Sacramento team plays no defense. They play fast. Both teams play fast. Both teams play no defense. It sets up for a perfect stack here. Love both Portland guards. Nurkic, if he plays, I'm going right back to the wall and playing him. Again, on pace to crush against Minnesota. On pace to crush against Sacramento. Both blowouts. Toronto gets injured. So people are going to box score watch it. If Nurkic plays, I'm going right back to him again. If Nurkic is out, Then we look to Enes Kanter at 4.8K, I think makes for one of the best plays at that price. Would assume he starts, would assume he gets Nurkic's minutes, which I would say 25 to 30. The Sacramento team is big. Portland can't afford to go small, right? So I don't really think they can go with Covington at the 5. I think they have to play Kanter and Giles. So Kanter, I would think, plays 25 to 30 minutes. Good point per guy. Fantastic matchup. Would love Enes Kanter if Nurkic is out. And then Giles becomes an interesting punt play in GPPs. I would assume he gets Kanter's run, which would be like 15 to 20 minutes off the bench if Nurkic is out. And he's a really good point per guy. So I think you could look to him for a contrarian GPP play. Do love his upside. Revenge game narrative. Again, he's a good point per guy. So would have some interest in him as a punt play. The rest of the guys are just stayaways. We don't have to go to the wings, right? I mean, Melo, I think is the guy I would look to. Did play 35 minutes the last game, 21 and 22 in blowouts. He had 43. He's not going to have 43 again, but if I'm going to take a shot on one of these wings, it would be Melo just because he's the best offensive player. But it's just, they're going to go with the hot hand with Covington, Melo, Jones Jr., Trent Jr. So just, I don't want to do it on this slate. I don't want to try to take a shot on one of those guys. Finally, Sacramento. So De'Aaron Fox, I think, again, with all this news happening, Fox is now going to go under-owned. He's the guy for me in the mid-range. Love De'Aaron Fox at this price. No minutes restriction after we saw the last game, 28 minutes, or 38 minutes. I assume we get similar minutes. Again, fantastic spot. He's underpriced. I really like him, and I think he goes under-owned tonight. He's one of my favorite plays in the mid-range. Barnes is solid, but we'll definitely prioritize Fox first. I'm going to play someone in Sacramento. Same thing with Hield, right? Fine, but I would prioritize Fox. Rashawn Holmes, I think, makes for a good GPP play if he does, in fact, play. In games where he stays out of foul trouble, last 2 games, 43 and 47 fantasy points. He either stays out of foul trouble and crushes, or gets in foul trouble and completely crashes your lineup. It's one or the other. So Holmes makes for a good GPP play. Just don't think we have to now go to like Halliburton or Bagley. And the value is just we don't have to go there in this slate. So that's it for my breakdown. Let's refresh this one more time, and then we can get to some questions. I want to make sure we're up to date here. And I'd also want to mention that don't feel like you have to use all your salaries tonight, right? You can definitely leave like $500 to $1,000 on the table if you want to. So, yeah, that's what I got, guys. Let's get to some questions. We are at over 500 viewers, 90 likes. I appreciate it. All right. Cauley Stein. I think Cauley Stein is fine, but hard for me to prioritize him over some of the other centers. CJ, Katie, Ingram, Cat. Let's see, CJ or Randall, and I'm running net stack, but love CJ. It's tough, right? Randall did only play 30 minutes the last game, which is a little bit worrisome. I mean, I think Taj Gibson's available too, so that's like another body for the Knicks. I think he's available. Yeah, he is. So, like, they could limit Randall's minutes a bit. There is some concern here with Julius Randle. But like I said, if I knew Julius Randle's going to play over 40 minutes tonight, I would probably play him. Just a matter of, do you want to take the shot? Randle going to be sneaky? Yeah, I think Julius Randle is still a nice play. Yeah, there's absolutely no way I'm playing Austin Rivers at 5.3K. Absolutely no way. Building around Cat? I mean, I don't think I would. I mean, I like the matchup for him, but he expects him to play. I think they're going to kind of limit him. I mean, you can go there. You can take a shot on him, but I think he gets limited a bit. I don't think Cat's a bad play. I'm worried they limit his minutes a bit. If I knew he was going to play full minutes, I think he would be a decent play. Is CJ? No, CJ McCollum's not a must play. Worried about Portland Sacramento blowout? Probably will happen because I like that game the best. But hard for me to get away from a 3.5 point spread. If it blows out, I'll just tilt because this game should not blow out. But most likely it will because that's the game I want a lot of exposure to. For cash, Luka, Middleton, or LeBron and Dame. So I don't think we have to play Middleton on the slate, right? I don't think that makes sense to go to Middleton. Try to get to like Ingram or someone else in that. Middleton's is not a guy I would look to. So I would probably go Luka and then get off Middleton. LeBron and Dame depends on Anthony Davis news. If Anthony Davis is out, I would go that second option. Yeah, Cat or Randall again depends on. I think both could be limited here. Randall only played 30 the last game, so there's some worry. Cat coming back from the injury, they limited him the last game, so Whiteside is don't have to go there in this slate. Only played 10 minutes last game. Thoughts on Paul George secondary play? Bruce Brown or Chioza tonight, so I would prefer whoever starts, and I think it's going to be Bruce Brown. James Johnson or Roby, depends. We're still waiting on some starting lineup news. So if like James Johnson starts, that would be close. I think if James Johnson comes out the bench and Roby starts, might give the edge to Roby, but that's a close one. Cantor or DeAndre, it's got to be DeAndre Jordan at the moment. Again, we're still waiting on Nurkic news. So at the moment, it's DeAndre Jordan, but if Nurkic gets rolled out, I think Cantor becomes a really, really good play. Redick, Luka, Roby, or Hart. Redick, Luka, Roby, or Hart, Fox, Cantor. Yeah, that also depends on news, right? So if Nurkic is out, I would prefer the second one. Favorite value? I think one of those Nets guys for sure. I think you got the Nets guys, you got some of the Clippers guys. Those that's where I want to look for value is Nets and Clippers. Yeah, you definitely don't have to play. Luka. Bruce Brown and Chioza. Yep, going over that. Thoughts on Luka, Bruce Brown, Middleton? Yeah, so like Middleton's this guy that I just don't think we have to go there. Like Middleton can still have a solid game, but at 8.2K, I don't think it makes sense to get to him in this slate. It could work out if Detroit keeps it close. But like if I'm taking a shot in some of that game, it's Giannis. Could you stack Lillard, McCollum, Fox, and Holmes? Yeah, you can stack it. Most valuable small forward depends on what range you're looking at. I think LeBron, if Anthony Davis is out, Ingram right now really stands out with Zion out, and especially if Lonzo Ball gets ruled out. You know, you have guys like Joe Harris and Josh Hart in the mid-range. And then, you know, value-wise, I think there's a couple. You know, if JJ Redick, if he starts at 3.3K. So, thoughts on Paul George? Yeah, secondary play for me. Can I play LeBron and Dame in cash games, or should I try it? Yeah, so it's just like, I would probably try to get LeBron if Anthony Davis is out, but will we get that news in time? Knox in play? See, I don't think we have to go there in this slate. I would rather play the Brooklyn value. I would rather play the Pelicans value. Chioza, Bruce Brown, yeah. So assuming Bruce Brown starts, I prefer him. James Johnson, Jeff Green, or TLC. Hard to say right now without a starting lineup. Hard to say. Is LaMelo a good play? You can look to him in GPPs, but hard to really prioritize. Thoughts on Giannis? Yeah, Giannis is a good GPP play tonight. With all the value opening up, it's pretty easy to get to him. So there is some blow risk here, but I love the matchup for Giannis. Joe Harris looked good. I think Joe Harris is solid in the mid-range. I think he kind of reminds me of Duncan Robinson last slate. Joe Harris will do more than Duncan Robinson. Like, he can rebound the ball. He'll probably get a couple more assists, but still somewhat reliant on the scoring. You know, someone asked me yesterday, I was like, do you think Duncan Robinson gets over 25 fantasy points? I was just like, does he hit his shots? I don't know. You tell me, right? Because, like, that's how he's getting his fantasy points. Yeah, core plays for Patreon. Let's see. Best center tonight depends on what price range you're looking at, right? So, like, center at the top, you know, we have Giannis. I think Randall looks pretty good. AD if he does play. Mid-range, Rashawn Holmes, I think, would be the mid-range guy I would take a shot on. Or Nurkic if he plays. And then, like, value guys, possibly Harrell if Anthony Davis is out. And then you have, like, Cantor if Nurkic is out. And then, yeah, Cauley Stein's in the mix. And obviously DeAndre Jordan there with no Jared Allen. Should have to play some big minutes. Yeah, I meant Pelicans. Sorry. If I said Clippers, I meant Pelicans. Yep, meant Pelicans, my bad. Cat or Randall. It's tough because those two guys could be limited a bit. Randall only saw 30 minutes last game. Cat dealing with an injury. So both are a little bit risky. I like the matchup for both. It's hard to predict what their minutes are going to be. Do you think LaMelo is still too cheap? I mean, it's hard for me to prioritize LaMelo on this slate now. I think he's a good GBP play, but yeah, NAW for North. Yeah, I like NAW a lot. Especially if Bledsoe's out and NAW starts, I think he's a really solid fit. I'm fading Nurkic if he plays. DK, the Jinx is on, load up. Do you like Luka or not? Yeah, I think Luka, with all the value on the slate, Luka is a really good spend up. Yeah, like Luka against Charlotte. He should be able to have his way. Like Porzingis is playing, but Porzingis is not going to play a ton. Yeah, and there's a stat where like Luka does. I've seen that where Luka averages more with Porzingis. Ingram or CJ. I think, depends how you're playing it, right? Because Ingram, there's some blowout risk. But I think if that game stays close, we kind of know how it's going to happen, right? Brandon Ingram. But I love both Ingram and CJ tonight. I think Fox might be chalk. I don't think Fox is going to be chalk. I don't think so. At his price, again, with all the value opening up, it's setting for the stars and scrubs, and I think he's someone in the mid-range that goes a little bit overlooked. D Rose ruled out. Doesn't do a ton for me. Doesn't do a ton. DeLon Wright is more viable on the slate at 5K, but you got to ask yourself, are you going to prioritize DeLon Wright? I don't know if I am. Yeah, Cat's interesting for GPPs. Like, if I'm going to play someone on Minnesota, I would take a shot in Cat. Good matchup here. They did limit his minutes in this game against the Spurs, but that went to overtime. So he only played 32 minutes, 30 here in a close game, 30 here. So it's like the minutes aren't huge on Cat. If he's only going to play 30 to 32 minutes, that's why I'm not as excited, right? So there's risk with Cat's minutes. There's risk with Randall's minutes based on what we saw last game. Yeah, I mean, DeLon Wright a little bit more viable, but yeah, 5K, right? I can't prioritize him. Trey Burke is too pricey for me. DK is emotionally attached to Nurkic. Got to let it go, bro. No, I mean, Nurkic is a fantastic play. I mean, you're probably box score watching, right? So you're looking at Nurkic and you're looking at this Minnesota game. Oh, he only puts up 29 fantasy points. That game blew out, right? So he was on pace for close to 40. This game at Sacramento in 23 minutes, 34 fantasy points. Was on pace for 40 plus if the game stays close. This game against Toronto gets injured. This game against Chicago actually stays close, goes for almost 40. So I think you're box score watching, and I'll be fine to go back to him again if he's available. If not, I'll just look to Enes Kanter. Detroit going to lose by 4. Yeah, there's definitely some blowout risk there. Definitely some blowout risk with that. I have a feeling a little Fox and CJ stack. Yeah, I like that. I like Fox and CJ stack. Devontae Graham, 6.2K high 30s in 3 of the last 4. What do you think, boss? That price. It's just the price. Like, if it was a normal slate, and there wasn't a ton of value plays, then I would say, okay, yeah, Devontae Graham's viable here. But does it make sense to play him in the mid-range? I don't think it does. In a tougher matchup, it's really setting up for stars and scrubs. Like, there's a couple guys in the mid-range I'm interested in, but everything else, I really think you're going to want to go that stars and scrubs build. Let's see. Can't believe Curry, but oh my god, yeah. So I mean, obviously it was still a good night for us, Walker. But if Steph Curry just has like a normal game, goes for 50, we win some big money. Thoughts on Boban? You can take a shot on him. He might play. He could still not play too. Like he could. I think if he plays, he probably plays 10 to 15 minutes. So yeah, you can take a shot on Boban. It's a risk, but he's a good point per guy. Karis LeVert's not playing. The Nets have 9 active players. Yeah, I've been asked a lot. Cat versus Randall. I'm going to say there's risk involved with both. Randall only played 30 minutes the last game. Cat coming back from the injury still hasn't played a ton of minutes, so there's risk with both. Bledsoe sits. I don't think Fox is going to be that high owned. I don't. I think we're still. Let's see. Cat will start. Okay, yeah. Derrick Rose out. Tony Snell. Yeah, Bledsoe's not out yet. Okay. Again, if Bledsoe plays, then he is one of the guys I would look to in the mid-range because the offense would be, Bledsoe and Brandon Ingram. If Nurkic is out, Jordan, Roby, or Giles. Jordan. James Johnson or Roby, assuming they both start. I'll go James Johnson there. Like the matchup better for James Johnson. Muscala play. You got to ask yourself, right? Are you going to prioritize Mike Muscala off the bench for about 20 minutes over DeAndre Jordan when they have no centers? Yeah, again, Roby, not the best matchup, right? That's why I think I would go James Johnson there. Thoughts on Luka, Alexander Walker, TLC, Durant, DJ, Fox, Randall, Bruce Brown, Muscala, and Cash? I think it's solid, and Muscala is okay. Probably would rather play a Pelican value or a Nets value in that last spot. Cheaper power forwards, Portis or blowout. See, I don't think we have to go there in the slate. Like, Why consider those guys in the mid-range? I don't think it makes sense for roster construction, to be honest. DJ going to be high? Oh, yeah. DJ is going to be chalk. Cat or Cantor? Cantor if Nurkic is out, for sure. Josh Jackson? Nope, not for me. LaMelo or Fox for GPP? Fox. Fox for sure. If Bledsoe's in, how many does NAW get? How many minutes does NAW get? Depends on the starting lineup. He could start, he could not. If NAW comes off the bench, I would say he probably gets over 20 minutes, even if Bledsoe plays, that being NAW. Like, he's playing some decent minutes, 11, 20. Like, minutes, they've been a little up and down. So if Bledsoe's in and NAW doesn't start, then he's not a priority. If Bledsoe's out and NAW starts, I have a hard time getting away from him at that price. Giles or Venge? Yeah, I think Giles, if Nurkic is out, I think Giles is an interesting punt play. I don't think they can go small ball. So, like, Cantor, Giles should split the center minutes, and Giles is a good point per minute guy. NAW blowout proof? I think I'll play in the blowout, yeah. I wouldn't play Jackson Hayes because Steven Adams is there. It's like they're not going to play Jackson Hayes alongside Steven Adams. At least I don't think so. Weston Mundo. Whew. Man, no, I cannot play Weston Mundo. Cantor, yes, Cantor if Nurkic is out. Can you play 4 Nets? I think you can. They're shorthanded. Jordan is such a bait tonight. You see any other centers on this roster? Because I don't see any other centers on this roster. Is New York a small team? New York is not a small team. There's your answer. Fox for cash? I think you could do it. I think you could play to yeah, NAW, again, waiting on Bledsoe news. Knicks have a good D. 4 seems like too many. Trying to think. I mean, if it's like KD plus 3, like, basically min-price guys, I think it's viable. Redick will def start over NAW. Depends. We got to see if Bledsoe's out. I think the starting lineup would be. I think NAW, Hart, and Redick could all start alongside Ingram and Adams. Fox over SGA. I like the matchup better for Fox. So yeah, Melly possibly if he starts, maybe. If Melly starts, would have some interest there. Zion is out. Do you think I don't think with Zion being out really affects NAW. I think Zion being out would like make Melly a little bit more viable. Ingram or Randall. So right now, I think it's got to be Ingram. Thoughts on Luka, KD, CJ, Fox, and TLC, Brown, DJ, Green for net? Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. Shea for cash, would rather have Fox. Does Jeff Green get minutes at center? He could. Like, I think Jeff Green probably plays the backup center, right? Because they don't have any other bigs. Like, Chioza's a guard. Perry's, well, I guess Perry could play. I guess Reggie Perry could play. I mean, I don't know a ton about this guy. He's like on the end of the bench, but yeah, he probably actually does get the backup center minutes. I mean, Jeff Green could too, but the Knicks are a big team, so it's like I think DeAndre Jordan's got to push for close to 30 minutes, I would say, tonight. Connaughton for blowout, just getting too cute. Cat's a viable GPP play. DJ sucks. All right, well, you can fade DeAndre Jordan tonight. See how it goes. Harry Giles a good pick. He's a good GPP play. If Nurkic is out, I think you could look to him. Probably plays 15 to 20 minutes off the bench. Grant or Middleton, I wouldn't play either. Reggie Perry's played 8 NBA minutes. Yeah, but he's like their only other big. I mean, I guess they could go small ball, Jeff Green. Could you fade? Yeah, you can fade Luke. Luke is not a must. DeLon Wright is a little bit more viable. Yeah, Reggie Perry could not play. Like I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play. I mean, he's played what? Like basically in garbage time here. So, and if he doesn't play, then that's 8 bodies, right? So then you got Chioza, Shamet, Bruce Brown, DeAndre Jordan, TLC, Jeff Green, Joe Harris, and KD. So I definitely think you want some broken exposure here. Luka's not a lock, but I think he looks for a good play. Jeff Green's solid. TLC or Brown, Tough one. I think if Brown starts at point, I would probably go him because I think he would probably play a decent amount of point guard. What are your thoughts of stacking Luka with Zingis back? I think Luka's still in play. Porzingis will be limited. All right, one more minute, guys, and then I get out of here. Is NAW a bad play if Bledsoe plays? I wouldn't be as excited about it. He would not be a priority if Bledsoe plays. But he would still be like in play, but he would not be a priority for me. Yeah, TLC or Brown. I think Brown if he starts. No, if the game blows out, I don't think Brandon Ingram gets there. Game needs to stay close. Luka fool's gold tonight. If the game stays close, I don't think he's fool's gold at under 11K. I think he's a good play. Yeah, we're still waiting on a lot of news, right? And we're still waiting on starting lineups. Yeah, James Johnson's viable. If James Johnson starts, I think he's for sure in play. Grant and Giannis combo, like you can do that in GPPs. You can. Like Grant's been good. I would prioritize other plays before Jeremy Grant, but Jeremy Grant's been good. Cantor or Jordan. So right now it's DeAndre or Jordan. But I do like Cantor a lot if he starts. I think it's always DK, of course. Cares Levert to smash. Montrezl is viable if Anthony Davis is out for sure. For sure. Thoughts on stacking Durant, Jordan, and Randall? I think you can definitely do it. Yeah, I mean that's something I was considering tonight. I'm a little bit worried Randall only played 30 minutes the last game. I'm a little bit worried that Taj Gibson's available to play, so they have more bodies. I'm a little bit worried that Kevin Knox played well off the bench, so it's like there's definitely some risk with Randall's minutes now. Isaiah Roby blowout proof. Probably. Yeah, you can run Grant and Giannis together. No minutes limit on Towns. Okay. So with no minutes limit on Towns, it does make him a little bit more viable tonight. It's a good matchup. So yeah, I think if won't have a minutes limit. If I'm going to play someone on Minnesota, it's Cat. My issue is even in close games, right? 30 and 30. 32 against San Antonio. So will he play 35 plus? I'm not sure. He is under 10K. You can take a shot on Cat. I'm just still a little bit unsure on how many he gets in a close game. Yeah, you can definitely play Cat for sure. How many minutes do you think KD will play? Probably close to 40 if the game stays close. All right, guys, I am going to get out here. Appreciate all the support. I appreciate all you guys coming to check out the live stream. As always, again, monitor the news. Keep on top of it. Thanks again, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.